What's going on, chat? What's going on, PC? Another episode from the logo. Kind of the only one here right now, but it's all good. We can still do our thing. Great set of games tonight coming up. Some big ones, some must wins. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, is it a new era? Some of these stars down big in these series. Man, it's a lot going on in the NBA. Changing of the guard, has that officially arrived? Hey, playoff basketball time. Gotta love it, right? Love to see it. Big players stepping up. We're gonna see how these big players step up in crucial games. I think we'll start with the Knicks and Sixers today. I think one of the things with the Knicks and Sixers is this could be a legacy game for Joel Embiid. Him playing, you're down 2-0, devastated with how you lost that game to the Knicks last time. This is a big one for Joel Embiid. When Joel Embiid goes down 3-0, it's probably over with, chat. It could be over with for the Sixers. So I don't think he's going to let that happen, though. Don't be surprised if he comes out with a 40-20 game here. It's going to be solid. Hey, Joseph, no crashing out today. Lakers about to get this dub. We'll get to that. 40 points, 20 rebounds for the Sixers. I could definitely see that happening. Maxey, he's been consistent for them. He's going to have to keep doing his thing. Just play like the way he did. You know what I mean? That game was right there for the taking. They can definitely get it done. Maxey just needs to play like the way he's been playing. Hey, Joseph, that was J-Rob, man. Shout out J-Rob, but he crashed out. I was ready to chill for a bit. Tatya, he crashed out with that stream. Won't happen again, though. We'll make sure of that. In terms of the Knicks, Jalen Brunson been shooting terrible. Do we think that he's still going to continue to shoot 20-something% from the field? I doubt that. But, man, it's for them to win the couple games, first two games that they did without Jalen Brunson having a great game, I think shows a lot about the team. Josh Hart absolutely stepping up for these guys, playing defense, playing all the minutes. I might just have to put the stream link in the chat, y'all. Just give me a second. We'll get some up here. We got Gifted coming here. Gifted in the building.
Yo, mic test.
Yes,
What's
sir.
good?
You good. And I'm just looking over that Knicks Sixers game right now that we have tonight. Must win. A bit of a legacy game for Joel Embiid. I mean, if he loses this game, go down 3-0. It could be this game could be the start of the end of an era for Sixers, right? If they lose this game, what do you think?
Whew. Well, first off, what's good, Jalen? I think tonight for the Sixers is a pretty important game. I mean, they haven't won so far in the Knicks series. They should have probably closed out the last game before, but they didn't. So, really maintaining power and integrity throughout the team by banding together and winning tonight would be huge. I think the Knicks sense blood. A lot of their players have been playing very, very hard throughout the series, so they're going to do everything in their power to win tonight. So that's definitely one of the games I'm the most interested in, seeing how that Philly crowd reacts to having Embiid and Maxey back. So that's definitely going to be one of the biggest games, I would say.
100% for sure. Do you think Jalen Brunson gets out of his funk, or do you think that the Philadelphia defense is just going to continue to give him problems? He's going to shoot the way he's been shooting.
I don't think Jalen Brunson is going to keep shooting the way that he's been shooting. I think at some point he's going to break free of it, and I do think that tonight he has a pretty strong game. I think this game is going to be all about the margins and the role players who chip in. Hopefully, the Sixers can get at least one good overall Tobias Harris game. He hasn't been great for them so far in this series. Even a Kelly Oubre variance game would be pretty huge for them. But I do think tonight Brunson is going to have a much better game than his first two, for sure.
It is interesting with a lot of these teams having home games now that they've been on the road. We do expect, the saying is that role players will play better at home. So guys like, Tobias Harris, I think will be better. Buddy Hield will play better. Like I said, Kelly Oubre, I could definitely see those guys getting the energy off the crowd, definitely scoring. So I definitely like that. If you were to pick a winner for the game between the Sixers and the Knicks, who you got tonight?
Give me Sixers, man. I feel like the Sixers are going to do their best to extend this series overall. I think role players play better at home, and more importantly, I find it hard to see the Knicks going up 3-0 against this Sixers team. If that happens, then they'll be on the verge of getting swept, and that's just a very tough reality for the Sixers to have to accept. So I do think that they're going to try to be competitive by at least taking this game here and getting one before they go down 3-0. So give me that team so far.
I like it. Now, what about we'll go before we get to the main event of the night? We'll go quickly to um, the Orlando Magic versus Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs won the first two games. They've been looking great. The Magic, young team, really struggle shooting in Cleveland. Do you think them going home, you guys like Wagner, Paulo, just feel more comfortable at home? And like I said, the role players, the Wagners, I think Jalen Suggs will still be there. Will they kind of pick up and will they just frankly score more points? Because I don't think they can. They got at least score 100 points in a game. You know what I mean? I think that goes for both teams too, but at least get to 100 points.
I don't know what to expect for the Magic. Their offense all season long hasn't been great. In this series so far, they've been getting killed by Jared Allen. Jared Allen has been a very productive scorer and rebounder in this series. Also, Donovan Mitchell has been spectacular. Jalen Suggs got injured, but they said he should be cleared to play. I'm not sure how productive he's going to be, though, considering how bad it looked when he had to limp off the floor last game. You would expect Orlando to be able to fight back with their defense, but again, the Cavs to show you that we can also have a pretty good defense that's going to stifle people to where Paolo is not shooting efficiently. Franz is also not shooting efficiently. We also have guys who can still score and contribute in multiple other ways as well. It feels like it might be too much for them, and being that their only real creator is really Paolo, it's kind of rough for them to create several advantages, and they're more physical than the Magic are, which is something I wasn't expecting to start the series. But they are back in Orlando, so that home cooking could go their way tonight. But I kind of feel like the Cavs have been out for blood for the entire first round. They've handled the Magic considerably in these first two games. And again, if Jalen Suggs isn't on his A game, I think Donovan Mitchell could have yet another strong playoff showing. So initially, I had the Magic in like 7 games. I'm really leaning Cavs, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is a game where I could see like Evan Mobley maybe struggling a little bit, or Jared Allen not be as productive, or even Garland, because they all played relatively well last game and kind of even balance scoring. I just think Mitchell's going to show up. So if he gets no help from his teammates, I wouldn't be surprised if he gives you kind of a signature Mitchell. Let me will us to this win. His teammates shooting bad, but he can get you 40 plus. That's the
Yeah.
type of player Mitchell is, right? So they definitely have to key in, lock him down. You mentioned Jared Allen; he's been destroying him on the boards. I just don't know if they got anything for that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if Wendell Carter's the answer. I don't think Wagner's the answer. I just think it's a mismatch for them clearly. I mean, is there any way you're going to stop his rebounding, or what do you think?
You need scoring. Like, you need someone to come in and give you pretty good overall production. You have to hope that you shoot better than 10% from the 3-point line at home. Hopefully that changes for them as well. But defensively, I think they're going to be more of the same. There's moments where they were able to figure out how to really impact the Cavs defensively. But again, a big part of the game is staying afloat and above water while getting stops. Can imagine do that for a full game? That still has yet to be seen.
100%. Yeah, defense will definitely be key there. Will be interesting to see. And the last game of the evening, the main event, down 2-0, Lakers, Denver, 10 straight losses. The Lakers are back home after one of the most soul-crushing, life-changing defeats I've seen in a while. That game broke relationships. It broke TVs. It did a lot for the people, especially LA fans. Still probably going through it. I'm still going through it. What do you think of this game? Is this finally where the Lakers get the monkey off the back? Do they finally beat the Nuggets? Do they build off the first half of last game? What can they do, Gifted? Talk to me.
I got the Nuggets, man. I feel like the Nuggets are going to win tonight. I feel like the Lakers really threw in almost their best punch last game. I feel like for the Lakers, though, if you want to keep this game competitive and have a chance to take it, you have to find a way to keep Anthony Davis productive in the second half of the game. There's no reason why AD starts out the game 14 to 15, chat. Only missed one shot in the first half, but then in the fourth quarter, he only takes one shot. That's just not acceptable. And I feel like the scariest part about Denver is they're still not shooting well. Denver is shooting 26% on wide open threes in this series. Once Denver starts to actually make shots, which they're prone to making more shots in LA, I do think that this team is just going to be too much for the Lakers to deal with. I also think that Denver is looking at the road ahead, and I trust their execution, especially on the road. So for me, I think Denver takes it tonight. Also, the Darvin Ham stuff in terms of his adjustments and
Oh,
changes he's going to make to be a productive fit there. I really don't know how that's going to look. So I got A lot of questions for Darvin Ham, and I want to see how he's able to respond tonight for sure.
Did you see what he said with the Anthony Davis statement?
Yeah, that was bad.
I was like, how you have your star guy who had a great game, was doing his thing, looked like the best player on the floor in a lot of times during that second game, in the first half. And for him to say, hey, there's sometimes we're out there where I don't know what we're doing, no sets, no whatever it is, and Darvin Ham saying it's out of frustration. You don't say that. Clearly, AD is not just saying that out of frustration. I don't think you say that out of frustration. That could be, that's a conversation. Look, if you don't want to acknowledge it in public, I think that's perfectly fine. But to say that it was just out of frustration instead of saying, hey, me and AD had a conversation, we're going to go and fix that. It's very simple. It's all you had to say.
That's all you had to say. Yeah. You want to crash out and say, well, bro, Chad, I have never seen a head coach, Jalen, in the middle of a playoff series, you down 0-2, going back and forth with one of your own players. If he's saying sometimes he goes out there and he's not sure what to expect, who are you to say, you know what, I disagree with him? Infighting while you're down 0-2 in the playoffs is a wild look. It's a wild look. And it kind of speaks to the overall discontent and the lack of continuity and chemistry between Darvin Ham and the rest of the entire Lakers front office and roster. This has been something that's been going on all year long. Genie Bus has already extended him to a multi-year deal as well, so he's going to be back next year. But seeing them even have small moments where you're bickering like that when you need to rally together being down 0-2, that should be the focus instead of what Darvin Ham said. So not a great look.
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely going to be a problem. I do think for the Lakers, though, again, when you're home, I'm hoping guys like Austin Reeves, Rui definitely step up. Role players like that tend to do well.
Need that.
Austin Reeves is known to have the GOAT home whistle. That's definitely a thing. He definitely seems to be attack mode a little more, get to the free throw line. So they'll definitely need that. If AD and D'Angelo Russell can play at even 80% of what they played at last game, I think they could still, that's still enough for them to win. And LeBron needs to be LeBron. LeBron, you can't be holding the ball in these late moments or second half. Let AD, let D'Lo cook, do their thing, and maybe even play off them a little bit. I think you're an intelligent enough player where you can play off them, especially if they have the hot hand. Let D'Lo make some decisions, or just try to find them in key spots when they are hot. So he definitely has to do that. And like you said, I mean, when it comes to beating Denver, you just also have to kind of hope that they miss shots, right? You just can't have at the end of the day, Jamal Murray, if he's making those shots, Jokic is being Jokic, MPJ hitting those threes, it's really tough to beat that team. This is just a phenomenal team who
Denver is going to discipline check what the Lakers do. Because again, what we've seen so far, and we've also seen parts of this last year, right? The Lakers can have momentum early, right? Bron can really come out here, score 20 points, 25 points, do what he does. Anthony Davis can literally miss only one shot in the first half, but it's about sustaining that through all four quarters because the shot quality for Denver is only going up each quarter, while the Lakers is coming down. It's about sustaining that for as long as possible. You need to find that through backcourt production, through Anthony Davis finding shots in the fourth quarter for the offense to not go away from him, and to also limit turnovers, especially shot turnovers, because a big part of what did LA in, and you can let me know, Jalen, if you disagree or not, but the amount of three-point shots LA was settling for in the second half, which Denver just got out in transition and scored on. Shot turnovers are a big thing for the Lakers.
No, that's actually key. Lakers definitely, their transition defense definitely a little problematic. They seem to have a hard time figuring out who's getting who. Just basketball 1-on-1. Somebody stop ball. That's one, and then if someone is effective at stopping ball, the other things will kind of work themselves out. So just get a man. One guy definitely key. Stop the ball. Transition defense needs to be 100%. I will say though, if LeBron hits that three, Jamal Murray, and then they miss that shot, are we talking about this in a whole different way? Are we talking about this series or that game just in a completely alternate, because right now it's like the Lakers, they can't beat them, this, that, which I get, 10 straight, I get it. But if they win that game, which is literally one,
it's a huge game. It's a huge game. If you win that game, the series is different.
Exactly. And I just think the way we talk about it is so different too. Probably praising D'Lo. We're probably praising AD a lot more because let's say winning, people tend to forget the flaws, right? So people probably would have forgot that AD only shot, once or twice the second half.
I would have been on his ass because
for sure.
You cannot go 14 for 15 And then it comes down to a LeBron shot, and that's the reason why. Compared to continually going to what was giving you success in the first half, they just went completely away from Anthony Davis. And you can't afford to do that when game by game, AD so far has been the best player for the Lakers in this series. You got to keep riding that momentum, because by doing that routinely, you can open it up to where Bron isn't as exhausted and fatigued down the stretch if you keep going to Anthony Davis in those moments.
I got you 100%. No, that's for sure. I think, again, you would definitely hold him accountable. But I just think that the narrative around that whole game was this is a turning point. This is this is, this is the win that the Lakers needed. I just think it's crazy how essentially one play, that last sequence, can change, the whole talking point of a game or a series with literally one missed shot versus one made shot. You know what I mean? Like you do that last sequence 10 times. It might go 50-50. LeBron might make that shot 40-50% of the time. Jamal Murray might miss that shot 40-50%.
I mean, but that's the problem with the matchup, right? Because literally it's the extra plays we're not talking about. It's the play in transition where Aaron Gordon saves the ball, kicks it to basically MPJ. It's the play where KCP gets switched out onto LeBron. They force a turnover. They score in transition, right? Like these are the plays where, when it comes down to marginal plays where you have to execute in do or die scenarios, Denver has proven that they're just much better at doing that than the LA team is. But that's why if you go up 20 points, you have to savor that lead and really do everything in your power to keep that lead up there. Because Denver, they hit and they swing in bunches because of their firepower. The fact that they were able to come back in that game where Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. are the only ones who made threes just shows you just how talented of a team they are overall. So when you don't have the talent to match up with a team, those plays are highlighted even more, because that, damn, because we didn't make this one extra play, now we have to play another perfect game basically from the first quarter all the way to the end.
100%. No, it definitely makes sense there. Big game for the Lakers. Essentially a must win. You lose this game, you go down 3-0.
It's a big game.
Yeah, you go down 3-0.
It's a huge game tonight. Yep.
It's basically over with. And it'd be interesting to see what the Lakers do. If they do end up losing, what they do in the offseason, because I don't know if you're running back with this core when you lose 2 years.
I was going to ask you that. What would you do if you were in charge of LA if they lose in 4 this time again?
I mean, I think, the easy answer definitely, you got to make a big trade for somebody, just because you can't running back again, lose to the same team. They clearly have your number. You just can't get over that hump. You need to bring in somebody to help. But who? I don't think. Salute. I don't think a Trae Young is the answer. Obviously, a body for Jokic is one. That we got that you have to get a big body for Jokic. You can bang down low with him, who can still be productive. Who that guy is, man. If I had the answers to that,
are you sure put Anthony Davis back at the 4? You mean?
Yeah, you got to put Anthony Davis at 4 against Denver.
Okay.
You can't have Anthony Davis at the 5 against Jokic, because even when the Lakers are making a run, Jokic always gets an easy bucket for them to kind of keep it.
He was working Anthony Davis down the stretch.
Yeah, just bodying him up. So you just need somebody in the same weight classes as Jokic, just to put a body on him and at least make it work a little more. I think he's scoring too easy on Anthony Davis. I'm fine with him scoring because he's Jokic, but make him work a little harder. Just make it a little more difficult.
I feel like the problem with the Lakers roster, and again, Jalen, feel free to tell me where you side with me, right, is that the problem is this is a roster that is, first off, coached by a coach that doesn't make the correct adjustments all the time, number one. But number two, the consistency of the role players is really up and down. You have a backcourt that offensively can do some things and have potential to be very good, but defensively, they leave a lot to be desired. And when their shots aren't falling, their liabilities on the other end of the floor. And then at the same time, they don't really have a true wing. Like the closest they had to that was really Torian Prince. But they don't have like that true like 3-spot guy, right? Like even Rui is more of a power forward who sometimes will play the 3, but reality, he's more of a 4. Like they need to get more athleticism at the wing spot next to LeBron and Anthony Davis, but they also need players who are a bit more high IQ to where they're not just catch and shoot. They can actually put the ball on the floor and extend plays. I feel like LeBron and Anthony Davis are the main hub and creators for everything that the team does. You need to have a guy who can come in there and legitimately run offense
You're like
without
D'Lo's
LeBron James.
ability. You're like D'Lo's ability to run the offense, or Austin Reeves.
Well, my problem with them is like they can run the offense here or there, but their consistency and their aggression isn't guaranteed. And my bigger thing is doing it from the guard spot. One of them are going to be liabilities on defense in a weak link. And if one of them doesn't have it going, it's like, all right, well, damn, those were basically our only options. I'd rather like they have some wing type who could basically ball handle and play off of Bron or maybe one of either D'Lo or Rui, because I'm pretty sure that this offseason, one of D'Lo or Reeves is probably going to be gone. So I'm looking ahead in terms of, okay, well, how do I maximize this roster next to an aging LeBron James and Anthony Davis? And to me, you got to get more size. You have to have more physicality. But more importantly, a high IQ fit player. I know people have said Trae Young, but if we're being realistic about cap space and how you make the trades and what your assets are, I don't really see what the Lakers would have to really go after Trae Young for real like that. But at the same time, this overall free agency class also isn't the strongest either. So there's a lot of questions. I just feel like structurally, giving LeBron and Anthony Davis another two-way guy that can be impactful offensively is a big difference.
I think a guy like Bogdanovich would definitely help in the offensive end. I think he's a guy who can create when healthy, can definitely score the ball, can handle the offense. To defensively, I think he'll give you kind of the same problems. But again, just a center next to AD too. I'm trying to think of a name, but I mean, that'll fit.
I don't have a name for you right now. Like best I could probably say, and like I hate saying Paul George because like every team thinks they're going to get Paul George. Realistically, no one's probably going to get Paul George. He's probably going to resign, right? So like a true star level player at that spot isn't much. They still have some of their picks, but even then, like there's other teams that have more draft capital to give up than they do. So I really don't know what it is. And then at the same time, I think the other reality is you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what is our timeline with Bron, right? Are we extending him to another multi-year deal? Is he opting in for $50 million? Like you have to figure that out, especially soon. And if they cannot get out of the first round versus Denver, you really have to question the viability of this roster with LeBron and Anthony Davis headed into next season, because OKC is going to get better. Memphis next year, they're going to be back. They're going to be better, right? Even the Dallas Mavericks, based off of how Kyrie Irving and Luka has played, they're going to try to add more pieces to their roster. Yeah. How do the Lakers get better with LeBron and Anthony Davis on the roster?
No, I think you're 100% right. Like you meant, the dream option of getting a caliber player like Paul George. Obviously, any team would like that. Any competing team would, but it's probably not realistic. Again, I mean, I guess a guy like Jeremy Grant has been hurt a lot, but a guy like him, I think, would help, right? A player of his mold. If they could have got OG in a trade, I think that might have helped in this particular series. Maybe he would have helped the perimeter defense, even though he's been a little hurt for the Knicks. Shoot, Josh Hart, the way he's been playing, he would have been great. He would have been great for the Lakers too. I don't think that would have hurt, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see what the Lakers have in store for tonight. I do expect the big guns to show up. I expect LeBron to, right off the bat, go, hit the gas pedal, play 100%. D'Lo, Anthony Davis do their thing. I really think Reeves is gonna step up. He's always been a guy who really does his thing during their home games. So should be a good one. Moving on to one of the main topics for today, in terms of, we see now that the Lakers, LeBron James down 0-2, Kevin Durant, Suns down 0-2, Steph Curry, made the play in, couldn't get past there. We're probably talking three guys over the past, from 2010 and on, the three guys of the decade, you could say.
Yep.
Not in a winning, not in an opportunity that looks like they can win or really, kind of carry a team anymore. There's not those guys. Is this really the end of, a lot of people in the chat's childhood era, guys, even though LeBron is technically from the era before, just because of longevity, he falls into this era too. Is this the end of an era of kind of those guys? Is this the era of a Jokic, SGA, Luka? I mean, maybe Tatum, but hey, we'll talk about that Boston game after too. But, these new guys really, this postseason, really kind of cementing themselves as we're him now. Those guys are the past.
I love what Duppy said. Every era has to end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of how great LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Steph have been, they've carried us up to this point. But I say this coming in, man, a lot of those guys are aging superstars on teams that frankly just aren't that good and aren't that well constructed, right? LeBron and Anthony Davis are on a roster that has been routinely mismanaged by the head coach and has many defensive flaws on their roster. Kevin Durant joined the Phoenix Suns, and then they traded for Bradley Beal, and they just paid Grayson Allen, so they're stuck with their team. With the new CBA, the Suns can't get better. That really is their team unless they flip big salary to make some type of move. And obviously, Bradley Beal, $250 million contract, also with a no trade clause. So they're pretty much like trapped into what their roster is going to be. But I think a part of this is people have to be accepting of younger teams, because I heard a lot of this stuff last season and before this season where people just thought that the 9 seed or the 10 seed can just come in and they'll beat the 1 seed. They thought that, OKC's this fake team. Like, they won all these games. That's fine, but it's playoffs. Is Shea a battle-tested guy? And, obviously right now Shea is still performing like an MVP candidate during his first round series right now. I feel like now is the time to expand your horizons, evaluate basketball, look at these other teams that are up and coming, and really give them their prop and their respect. Before the season, I was telling people the Timberwolves are going to be a top 3 team in the Western Conference. And they said, what? With Gobert? Like, how would they make it that far? Because he gets played off the court and all that, right? And now they have been one of the most consistent teams. They have the Suns down 2-0. Now a potential to win that series in 5 or 4 games, potentially, if they can keep up their defensive juices, which have been absolutely clamping the Suns. And then you have a team like OKC, who, again, top 5 in both offense and defense, led by Shea. J-Dub had a marvelous game last night. So did Chet. They're leaving Chet wide open, which a lot of people said, Chet, he's a first-year player. He'll get bullied, but he's giving it right back to Valanciunas. Great scoring, great defense. This is the time where the talent in the league is so deep, Jalen, that even though we love LeBron, even though we love Steph, it's time to look past and just evaluate and give flowers to these other teams that are up and coming.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think the league's in a great place. Excuse me. League's in a great place. A lot of young talent, like you just said. It's okay to move on. These guys were great. Like I said, I think what they did for the league in terms of, monetarily, I remember 2000 and I think coming out with the new bargaining agreement in like 2005 or 6, the max contract was 4 years, like 58 million or 60 million.
Yeah.
And now we got max contracts at 5 years, 350, guys making 70 million a year.
Wow. Yeah.
It was interesting. I remember JJ Redick was on the Schultz podcast and he said, Schultz asked, why do NBA players go broke? And JJ Redick's like, not anymore. There was a time when a lot of them like the money, which again, when the mid-level is, 5-4 million, a guy has a 4 or 5 year career. You make 20 million, half plus the taxes, you buy a house, you mom a house, whatever. You can see
you really have to try to go broke nowadays.
Yeah, now going broke with the amount of money they're making is crazy. You can buy a $10 million house, make a bad decision, it gets devalued. You'll still be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can be stupid with a lot of millions and be okay these days. So hey, these guys did great. But like I said, the new wave, definitely a thing. Anthony Edwards, this is really, he's been here, but this series might be his coming out party. Like the way he's kind of handling the Suns, the way he's talking to Durant, is his coming out party?
Man, listen, I am so excited about the Wolves' overall success. I feel joy. This series, if people have been watching it, this series to me was basketball roster construction versus ball don't stop. I'm gonna be so real with you because because coming into the series and it's not over, right? The Suns still have a chance to come back and win. I won't deny them that. They could catch some very hot shooting and come back. They could very well win their next 2 games. But coming into the series, when you're looking at team for team, the Wolves were the deeper team, right? People said, okay, well, who's the true number 1 on this team? It's not Cat. We think Anthony Edwards is too young. Gobert is just a defensive player, but they completely overshadowed how the Wolves work as a unit, as a team. In game one, right? Prime example, Mike Conley shot 2 for 12 from the field, right? Nickeil Alexander-Walker gave you like 15 points. People said, oh, well, they can't sustain this shooting. Then Mike Conley goes into the next game and has 15 points in the next game. Mike Conley gives you 18 points on like 6 made threes. Jaden McDaniels gives you 25 points, where every single closeout he is killing and torching this defense. And with Anthony Edwards, the Suns blitzed him defensively, and I'm happy to see him going through coverages like that, because that shows the respect that teams are giving him as a star player, number one. But number two, this is his chance to show his processing beyond I want to score. It's okay, they're trying to take this away from me. How do I respond? And the passes and the defense out of it, and the way he was able to shift his game to still be a reliable player is huge. The example I will go to, and again, I don't think Ant is as good as his player, would be Giannis from this perspective, right, Jalen?
Yep.
If you remember the Heat series, right?
Yep.
How anytime Giannis plays the Heat, his points per game, all that stuff goes down, but his rebounds, dimes go up. Like, he finds another way to be impactful while they build up a wall, and he creates open 3-point shots. He gets boards, he gets out. Like, he finds a way to be impactful. And Ant, while having a off night, really settling for a lot of jump shots, was still finding ways to get his teammates involved. But the biggest thing in this series, again, is we now have a sample size where Rudy Gobert is playing with comparable talent that can actually hold up on the defensive end, and he has been the best player in this series. If I told you before this series started, Rudy Gobert would be outplaying Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Kevin Durant, you would look at me like I'm crazy, and he's literally done just that. The rebounds have been great. We've been seeing Gobert be switched out in isolation. It's getting to a point where Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are scared to touch the paint because they can't get to the paint, because they know Rudy is right there and he's pressuring them into taking off-ball, uncomfortable shots. And because of Jaden McDaniels as a POA, they don't know what to do. So I'm loving what I'm seeing in the series. It's bringing back that real basketball sense, not just the name shit. Because I feel like for the last 3 to 4 years, Jalen, how many teams have we gone through that have been carried by the name shit? Oh, we're going to put Russell Westbrook with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Yeah. They're going to win. Okay, we're going to put James Harden, Kyrie Irving, KD. They're going to automatically win. Dame and Giannis. We're just going to spam the Dame Giannis pick and roll. I think what you're seeing more than ever is teams adopting a mindset of roster construction is key. To have success, to go far, to have like a very valuable regular season, you have to construct a roster that has depth, that has players that have chemistry, that has a sense of culture and accountability to have success. And for the teams that are having success right now in the playoffs, they have that core intact. And that's what matters.
Yeah, no, you're 100%, I think, on point with that. I was definitely someone who didn't believe in the Timberwolves. I just thought the Suns would be able to out-talent them. Got to give credit to Rudy Gobert. Like you said, really has been the best player in this series now. People are going to go with Anthony Edwards because he's a star name, putting up points. I get that. But in terms of, two-way guy, even Rudy Gobert's offense, I think he's getting buckets when he needs to.
And he's making his free throws, too, which is crazy.
That's crazy, 100%. Even, strong screens. I know people want to see, but he did say strong screen center over there, Rudy Gobert. He's been doing his thing, though. Shout out Rudy Gobert. McDaniels, like I said, the defense. Mike Conley, being Mike Conley. Smart with the basketball, not doing too much. Still finding guys, putting him in position to succeed. Like to see that. So, look, Timberwolves definitely surprised me. I just think the Suns have disappointed me, though, too. I just think Booker, coming off of the playoffs last year, where he had a phenomenal playoff. Last year, phenomenal playoffs. I kind of expected more for him. Kevin Durant, just, I think, really showing his age. Just can't get to the rim. Just can't beat his guy. Can't get to the rim. Is settling for a lot of these jump shots. And we saw it in the regular season, but we're just seeing it more so now with defense really kind of keying in on that. So his first step, we're kind of losing that step, definitely being shown here. So that's interesting to see. But a team that shocked the world yesterday, though, we're talking the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat.
Yes,
sir.
Beating the Boston Celtics. No Jimmy Butler. Gift, I gotta ask you this, man. if the Miami Heat
Mm-hmm.
are able to beat the Boston Celtics with no Jimmy Butler, the way they're playing, I just think Eric Spoelstra is the GOAT. I don't even care. Like, shout out Greg Popovich. I know the championship.
Outstanding coach, man.
Yeah, I might just start calling him the GOAT because it'd be incredible to not only do like there's been times in the NBA where we've seen, like one series when Golden State beat Dallas, the 8-1. Like we've seen great teams, like it happens. But with Spoelstra, this is not like the first time. Right?
No.
Like we've consistently seen taking a team with far less talent than against the other team and just finding ways to win in the postseason. Right, just he's finding the the weakness on the other team, whatever it is. Guys just playing out of their minds, strong defense, whatever it is, the game plan, everything. He just seems to figure out what's needed to win. Shout out to the Miami Heat players too. Jaime doing his thing, Bam Adebayo hooping, Tyler Hero did his thing. Like it's the balance of tactics. This is not a Jimmy Butler carry job win. This was a very balanced, smart, great basketball win for the Miami Heat. What do you think? What do you think, Gifted?
Man, listen, man. I still have yet to watch this game in full. I try to do film breakdowns every day, but I've been wrapping up the last day of my personal schooling. But I will be rewatching this game tonight. However, I do want to say this, man. Eric Spoelstra has been the best coach in the league for some time now. But for him to will a win against a fully healthy Boston team where he's relying on zone, which normally if you're a team that can shoot, you can shoot out the zone and you're still able to stifle what Boston wanted to do, is extremely impressive. But also, I think the players for the Heat deserve a ton of credit. I mean, Tyler Hero had his best overall processing game in the playoffs. 7 for 13 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, 24 points, 14 assists. Double guy getting people involved on the road. It's just a huge impact player. Jaime Jaquez, right? This is a guy coming in that was a rookie player that was passed up on by a lot of teams that can use him right now. The Lakers passed up on him, right? Like he's been very, very productive, and he played with a sense of poise and urgency. Also, him knocking down 3 threes as well. Hayward Highsmith, another guy that has been deep in development for the Miami Heat over these past couple of seasons, that has come up big for them in the postseason when they've really needed it. Nikola Jovic, a guy that could not even get minutes on this team, not even a year ago, is starting for the Miami Heat in the playoffs right now, doing work. 4 for 5 from the field, 11 points, 3 for 4 with good process and a block, right? Like they're showing good, things. Also, Caleb Martin, a guy that was, in the conversation with Jimmy Butler for the Eastern Conference player of the Western Conference Finals, right? Like he was up there for that. So to me, seeing everyone come together, seeing Bam come out here and play 40 minutes with lockdown defense, 21 and 10, a plus 20 on the night, seeing his impact also be bigger than the box score. It's just fun to see that no matter how many people count them out, and no matter how little talent the Miami Heat have, they will always play until that buzzer hits 0. Now, I still think the Celtics are a better team. I still have the Celtics coming out of this series, but for the Miami Heat to fight to this extent and take a game, it's concerning. And I say this because as good as Boston is, obviously they play down to their level of competition. And that matters to me because when you're going after a title or a championship, people, you got to remember the road to a championship is not easy, right? You can be the most talented team all you want. If you get hurt during the postseason run, by the time you get to the finals, that takes away from how good of a team you can be. And I'm telling you right now, extending the series versus a Miami Heat team that's physical, that's fighting for everything, that has this dog-eat-dog type of mentality, you can have one of your players get compromised physically from this series. And then in the next series, it just gets more and more, and more. So then by the time if you hit the finals, you aren't what you fully were. That's why you can't, afford to mess around with your food. I'll give you another prime example. Last year, right? The Philadelphia 76ers, they couldn't close out the Nets fast enough. Joel Embiid got hurt. That impacted his performance in the second round, which they had a best chance to beat Boston and actually go to a conference final. So I'm looking at all these things, man, and you got to give Spoelstra credit, but those players to be as locked in and dialed in, that is a testament to how good of a coach Eric Spoelstra is. Big shout out to him, man.
100%. I mean, look, to me, him beating Boston this first round, if that was to happen, is more impressive. It's more impressive than Steve Kerr winning a ring with the Kevin Durant Warriors.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just one of
Yeah.
those things when you're able to do that, it just shows so much intelligence level, game planning, and just guys, playing above their heads for you consistently. It just shows a lot about him to a coach. So shout out Spoelstra. Hopefully they get another kind of a star player, and he could kind of rack up these rings. So he can be put in the conversation that he deserves to be put in by the masses who I think value, the ring count more in terms of coaches. That'll be interesting to see. For Boston, I mean, you mentioned if they do lose, though, I mean, man, is it time to Jaylen Brown got to go? Somebody got to go. If they lose this, someone got to go.
It's a weird spot for me because everything in my gut, right, says you got to basically fire the coach. You got to trade multiple pieces on the team. But at the same time, if you're Boston, you still objectively have the best talent in the Eastern Conference. And for you, it's a matter of extending that for as many years as possible. So maybe if you're letting go of these players just to let go of it, just because you had a very disappointing loss and you're not trying to build, doesn't make any sense. Because Jaylen, I'll say this right now, right? For a team to win a title, what matters the most, and a lot of people don't talk about, is you have to have continuity. Your roster has to understand exactly what guys' tendencies are. They have to have chemistry, and that's only something you get from playing years and years with each other. This microwave era of NBA teams trying to build teams year in, year out, go to the finals, all this and all that, doesn't work. If you look at the last champions, Denver, they've been together for like 5-6+ years where everyone knows everyone's tendencies. They've had a system and a culture put in place. They know exactly how to play off of each other. Before that, Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, right? These are guys that have played together for a very, very long time. So they understand exactly how everything moves. The Toronto Raptors before that, they added a Kawhi Leonard, sure, but a lot of those members on that team were from a Raptors nucleus that had playoff experience. They were just losing to LeBron James over and over and over in the playoffs. You need to have that chemistry and continuity to succeed at the highest level. So even if you're Boston, even if you do lose this year, trying to retool and just stack the deck year after year after year is not the answer. You have to eventually look at your two best players in the mirror and say, y'all got to figure it out. Y'all got to grow, and you got to take your lump. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of if Boston should blow it up or not if they're not able to win this year.
100%. No, I think I agree with you there. They're definitely in an interesting situation where clearly I think over the course of 82 games, they showed why they're the best team in the league. But man, another playoff drop. It's a lot of decisions. But I mean, can they get better though? You know what I mean? Like even if they got
right.
Jaylen Brown, who are they going to get for Jaylen Brown that's necessarily better? I just don't see that happening. They might get some younger pieces. Do you really want younger pieces when you're trying to win now? It's just interesting to see. But those Jason Tatum talks though, he's going to be vilified and destroyed. Even though he didn't have a terrible game, I think he's one of the guys that showed up. A lot of role players. Porzingis had a bad shooting night. Derek White had a bad shooting night in terms of him. It was a lot of guys having bad shooting nights, so I wouldn't worry too much. But if it happens again, then I might have to hit the panic button.
Look, I don't want to be an asshole, Jaylen, right? I really don't. But I saw this tweet on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Now, Twitter is the worst place you can go to for basketball takes.
Facts.
There's bad takes all the time, right? But when someone said Anthony Edwards is better than Jason Tatum, Tatum is better than Anthony Edwards, right? And Anthony Edwards is not better than Tatum. However, what people fail to look at when they're evaluating basketball players is their production and the age that they're producing at. Anthony Edwards is 22 years old. Jason Tatum is 26 years old. And I think with the ascension of what Anthony Edwards is improving at for year after year after year after year, you're seeing him take those steps and improve in multiple different ways. He's already one of the best playoff scorers of all time, just based off how his career has started in the playoffs, right? He's up there with a guy like Luka Doncic and also Donovan Mitchell, just in terms of how his start to his postseason career has been so far. So for me, when I know this stuff and I know this information, it goes back to Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is a great player, but I've said this for years, and I still believe this. Jason Tatum, to me, is a jack of all trades player. He's a guy that can do a lot of things above average, but I don't think that there's one thing that he's truly elite in outside of his defense. I think he can be an elite defender. He has good spots where he can really, really impact the game. But I still think that in terms of controlling the game and having his tempo felt on the game consistently, I feel like that's where Tatum is struggling at. And he's still young. I mean, again, Tatum was put in a situation where from age 19, age 20, he was already on a team that was winning. He was already on a team that was making the playoffs year after year after year after year. So he's still growing into being that true number one option. But for me, when you talk about number one options, I'm thinking about who do I trust as a decision maker? Can I rely on you to impact the game every single night the same way when I need you to, right? And there's just different tiers. Jokic, Tatum is nowhere close in a conversation to a player like Jokic. Jokic, one, he's stamped, right? Even Joel Embiid, he's not stamped, right? But the way that he plays basketball and how he impacts the game, even that impact has a higher impact than Jason Tatum. So I think the Tatum stuff is fair to say, but I think they've done their best to build the best roster around Tatum and Brown. And at this point, they just got to figure it out.
I hear you. They definitely got to figure it out. And again, I do expect them to come back this game and win game 3.
Yeah.
I would be kind of shocked if they lose that one. I just don't
if they lose game 3, it's oh my God. It's going to be wicked.
Yeah, it's gonna be wicked, crazy. Twitter gonna go crazy. I'm gonna just go on Twitter just to laugh at some of the things that would be
100%.
Twitter world 100% would go crazy. And real quick, chat, since it's just me and Gifted up here, if anybody has some real smoke for me or Gifted, something we've said in the past, now pull up. I'll put the link in the chat if you got some real smoke. None of this, hey, kumbaya. No, I want some real smoke.
Yeah, real smoke is hilarious.
Yeah, real life smoke. You can pull up here, say your piece. You're probably going to get cooked, but it's okay. I'm going to still let you up here do your thing. All right, so if you got some real smoke, just let me know in the chat. I'm going to drop the link. We'll kind of go from there. But get this. So far in the playoffs, who do you think has been the most disappointing player for you? You think this playoff run to the NBA? The guy that you thought was going to play better, and just hasn't shown up yet in these first couple games?
Most disappointing player by my standards in the playoffs thus far. That's a good question, Jalen. I gotta say for me, okay, I didn't think this guy would show up, but I wanted him to. D'Angelo Russell's been disappointing. And I say it from the sense that D'Lo is having his best overall season. For years now, I've never trusted D'Lo as a playoff performer. I just don't think he's that guy when it matters the most in the playoffs. And for him to come out in game 1 and do what he did was tough. In game 2, he played better, but down the stretch, he also disappeared. And it's tough because I just think for the Lakers, the biggest X factor in the matchup is their backcourt production, where D'Lo is bricking his shots, and then you have Austin Reeves who's not taking his shots. If D'Lo could just give them what he gave them consistently throughout the regular season, this is a much different matchup for LA, but he has not been productive. And I wanted him to be. I didn't want to be right about him, but so far, D'Lo has not moved any needle. And that's what the Lakers are in desperate need of right now is backcourt production.
Do you think Austin Reeves' kind of lack of production or lack of, kind of a lack of initiative, we'll say, or lack of initiative, him getting buckets, whatever, attacking? Do you think aggressiveness? Do you think that has a lot to do with him being the primary Jamal Murray guy? Because I do see him running around the court trying to keep Murray in check. You know what I mean? And I do think I still think people realize, which is why I think two-way players are so impressive, the amount of effort to play big minutes and really again guarding
is draining.
Like Jamal Murray. Super draining, right? Especially a guy like Jamal Murray, who's definitely kind of running around the court a bit more, playing off of Jokic. It could definitely be draining. So I do attest some of it to that. Hopefully this home game, I do hope he does take a few more shots, be more aggressive. For me, the most disappointing guy, just because I thought he was kind of in the level of another guy, I want to say Jalen Brunson. If the Knicks lose these games,
I forgot about Brunson. Right? You're right.
If the Knicks lose those games, it's a whole different narrative and talk on Jalen Brunson. He's not showing up in the playoffs. Them winning has kind of gave people the opportunity to overlook him shooting so bad from the field. Just not making shots he made throughout the regular season. I just thought he was a guy, at the level of SJ. And if he continues to play like this, I'm not putting him and SJ in the same caliber guy because SJ's showing up. SJ's balling out, key plays, key buckets, while Jalen Brunson just hasn't been doing that. So I do expect him to be better. hopefully be better, but he's definitely been a disappointment so far. And again, he's a guy I think would have got attacked a lot more if their team lost. So just another situation where winning seems to hide all the flaws of a guy, or if a guy's playing bad, you kind of overlook it because they won. And what about most surprising player? A guy that's actually played really, really well that you didn't expect, kind of came out of nowhere, or you just didn't expect him to play as well as he has so far in the playoffs.
Oh, yes. Okay, listen. For me, and this is probably my favorite, this is my favorite pick by far to me, Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen had a very embarrassing postseason last year where they got smoked by the Knicks. He said himself, the lights were too bright. He wasn't really prepared. He wasn't physical enough. He wasn't dominant on the glass. He wasn't scoring. He was just a complete shell of himself. And the shit that he's doing right now versus the Magic, he's showing up. He's rebounding the ball well. He's scoring. He's passing. Jared Allen just been a much improved version of himself, and they needed that to have success. So seeing Jared Allen take that, challenge and be so honest, saying, you know what, I was shook. Those lights were too bright, and redeeming himself in this postseason run, it's been very impressive, and I'm happy to see him do it.
I like that. I like that pick. Jared Allen, definitely someone I can get behind. For me, same team, the New York Knicks. Where's Josh Hart? I think the way he's been hooping,
Hart's
playing
been
all the
amazing.
minutes. Yeah, playing all the minutes. Shooting the ball incredibly well from three. Defense has been solid. The rebound, I actually had the rebounding against
the rebounding,
Philly.
man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I thought, I think they just have good rebounders on the team. Like, Joel Embiid can rebound. Maxi's actually a very good guard rebounder. Tobias Harris, for his lack of scoring and whatnot, is actually, pretty decent, above average rebounder. I didn't think he'd be bringing up rebounds like this against these guys. And again, for him to play that many minutes, give him key three after key three buckets, the effort, rebounding, like he's been doing his thing. Josh Hart, to me, he's probably the biggest reason why they've kind of won those two games against Philly. So Josh Hart really kind of saving Jalen Brunson from a lot of these attacks that he would have received, but also really being a big piece for the Knicks to win. Shout out Jalen Brunson, do it. I mean, Josh Hart doing his thing for the Knicks. And what about coaching? You think other than Spo, who gave a lot of credit to, any of the coach you want to give a lot of credit to this postseason run so far that you've been really impressed by?
Yeah, I got to give credit to OKC's head coach. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job in terms of putting players in the right positions to succeed. Understanding that there's a give and take with advantage creation and putting Chet in the proper situation where if teams are going to help off of him, they're able to generate very high quality looks. His decision making to let Case and Wallace close the game in game one, which led to them winning, and how productive Case and Wallace has been. I mean, I think coaches deserve a ton of credit when they're taking risks by trusting younger guys to play in the playoffs when they're like rookie players. They don't really have a track record, because that shows to me that you trust the work that this player put in. You trust the development, and in the minutes you gave him for the regular season, you were able to, instill confidence in him to go out there and perform. So being able to rely on Case and Wallace, to me, is a huge product of, Coach Mark really being there for his players. So definitely him.
That'd be good coaching. Him definitely do his thing. I want to see a coach. I mean, other than Spo, man. I mean, I guess Thibodeau's an interesting one because he's the one that I think he has a lot of respect from the league, obviously, and from fans too. Good, solid defensive guy. Doesn't have a ring yet. That's been the one thing, that's kind of eluded him. Has had great games. But I think, for him to win games without Jalen Brunson cooking, doing his thing, I think is impressive. He's putting Boy on at the right times. He's gotten clutch buckets from him. And hey, playing Josh Hart 48 minutes a game or 47 minutes a game, whatever, I guess it's a coaching decision. He's letting him rock. So a lot of coaches wouldn't put their players out there. So I guess I'm going to give Tom Thibodeau a little bit of credit there for really kind of, putting in the guy's hands, putting in the players that he believes in, letting him rock out, not forcing him to the bench. He's definitely doing his thing there. Shout out him. What about real quick too, the Bucks. The Bucks,
yeah.
The Bucks, losing that game to Indiana. Indiana just, kind of showed up and showed out there, put up a ton of points. Siakam again doing his thing there, got you 37 and 11, incredible. Halliburton looking like the playmaker that we know he is. Got you 12 assists. Didn't need to shoot the ball a ton because Nembhard 8 for 11, Naismith 4 for 10, Miles Turner 9 for 15. So a lot of these guys shooting well. What do you think the Bucks can do? Especially Middleton questionable for the next game. Man, if Middleton can't go, look, even with Damian Lillard, I don't even know if he can do that carry job. That'd be a tough thing. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about the Bucks situation?
So I said coming in that I had the Pacers in 6, and the reason why is even fully healthy, I didn't really trust the Bucks defense as a whole. But also knowing that Giannis isn't going to be available, I felt like the Pacers are just a better matchup. I know that they really had a bad offensive game in game 1, but again, they barely made their open threes. I'm pretty sure they shot like nearly 17 or 18% on wide open threes. In game 2, they blew it wide open. Tyrese Halliburton had a much better game. But more importantly, the player of the series hasn't been Dame or Halliburton. It's been Pascal Siakam. Back-to-back 36-plus performances, and there's literally no answer for him. Their best cover is maybe Bobby Portis, and even then, he's too fast and he's taller than Bobby for Bobby to guard him, right? Yeah. So, like, there's not much there that's really saving them from that. And I think because of the Pascal Siakam stuff with the Pacers now coming home, because remember, they were playing the Bucks on the road and they stole one. So now going back at home where all year long they've been a very explosive home environment where Tyrese can also play better, and Siakam again has been having whatever he wants, especially if there's no Chris Middleton. The Bucks are in severe trouble. And the worst part about it is the injury Giannis has isn't like some elbow thing or ankle thing. It's a calf strain, and it's similar to what KD went through when he came back and he tore his Achilles, right? So if you're the Bucks, you really don't want to mess around with that. So Giannis might not be back until maybe game 6 or game 7 if it goes that far. So if you're the Pacers, you're in a great spot right now.
No, I hear you. Look, it's without Middleton, they'd be in this situation. Siakam, look, that trade to get Siakam there might be the best thing that any team did. For him to show up in the playoffs, exactly what they brought him in for, right?
Yeah.
Had the championship experience with Toronto, had a ton of playoff experience with Toronto, gave the Pacers that scoring punch that they clearly needed. He's exploiting his mismatch here. Phenomenal pickup for the Pacers. I do think Halliburton starts to be more aggressive. Again, his teammates had great shooting nights, but if I'm Halliburton in the playoffs, like I want you taking 17, 18, even 20 shots. Like I'm cool.
You got to keep the defense honest. You got to keep the defense honest.
You take 20 shots. Siakam takes 20 plus shots, and then let Nembhard and Miles Turner just play off you guys. You guys, they'll hit their open shots when they need to, which is them. So, Halliburton definitely be more aggressive. I think again you can get away with it with this particular Bucks team, with the way their defense is playing and how their offense is, struggling a little bit when Dame can't give you everything. They might be able to get away with it, but going into the next round, they definitely need Halliburton to kind of step up and be better. So there it is with Halliburton. I guess after those guys, we could talk about Pelicans cooked. Pelicans absolutely cooked. I mean, it was rough. It was rough last night. I will say though, my J-Val prediction was looking good until they took out J-Val. To me, J-Val, he had a quick 9 points in the first quarter. He was dominating, and for whatever reason, he just took him out. And to me, I don't think you have the defensive pieces to win a kind of a defensive game against OKC. I think you have to keep J-Val out there and just use that mismatch. Let him use the mismatch, maybe get Chet in some foul trouble, whatever the case is, but keep him out there. I don't think he's playing the minutes he needs to. Ingram clearly still playing hurt. He stepped up in the second half, but he's 100% playing hurt though. So again, he's still out there battling it out. All the power to him, but it's just not to say for him. McCollum struggling, shooting wise, definitely still struggling. What do you think about the Pelicans here?
Yeah, so again, this goes back to the point I told you before the series started, right? Like I understand the size advantage that you see Jonas have, but the problem is, again, he's food defensively in any pick and roll, in any two-man action. A big part of why Chet had 20 quick points at the start of this game is they left him wide open because Jonas is dropping every single time. So Chet had wide open threes. And then on top of it, Jonas Valanciunas, he finished out the game like this, right? He scored 19 points on 14 shots. All of his shots are twos. There's no threes. He slowed down the pace, and he had 2 turnovers. OKC is living with whatever Jonas wants to do because more than anything, what he's doing is he's trying to create advantage, right? So if you're doubling him and he's kicking out to 3-point shooters, you're playing into his hands. When in reality, Jonas wasn't a consistent finisher. Again, 14 shots for you to score 19 points when he scored 11 points in the first 3 minutes. So that means for the rest of the game, he went on to give you like 6 to 7 points, and he was food on the other end defensively. So I don't think OKC's really worried too much about that. And more than anything, even Brandon Ingram, he was a minus 30 in this game. So for OKC, they ran out to a quick lead because of their weak links defensively. But then also, you have Jonas Valanciunas posting up, trying to get post touches when the team is down 30 points. The Pelicans are at their best when they're out there running, when they have super mobile lineups, when they're going up and down the floor. If you go back to the Lakers play-in matchup, down the stretch, it was Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, and I believe Larry Nance. That lineup was a quick up and down one. They cut the lead, actually took it with Zion until he went out, and that was their best official lineup. When you have Jonas in there, it's a more slower pace, and because you feel like you have to go to him more, you're actually going away from good offense, and you're just really relying on big man-centric offense where, Chet still had moments in that game where he was blocking his shots at the basket, or OKC would quickly double team and make him have to be a quick decision maker. So you're living with that. And ultimately, it's kind of like, I would say football, right? I don't watch football, but I think prime example, right, is how there's teams that if you're trying to run the ball, but you're down 25 points, you got to throw the ball because that gives you a quicker chance of getting back into the game, right? That's what was happening here, where it's more post-ups, it's slow, you're not really forcing turnover, so it's more of a standstill game, whereas the minute that you lose the ball or turn over the ball, OKC is out of there, and that's why they blew them out in such a big fashion. I mean, they scored 124 to 92 points.
100%, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're not going to outscore OKC. With Brandon Ingram hurt and Zion, I wish those two were healthy, man. I just think a healthy Zion, healthy Ingram, this would have been a really, really fun series. Shout out Chet. People forget a rookie who's showing out in the playoffs. We've seen a lot of rookies burn out in the playoffs or, not show up. Chet's been playing great. First game, second game, doing his thing. Good defense, rebounding, hitting his open shots when he needs to. He's doing what he needs to do. SGA, again, SGA being SGA. What more can we really say?
Hooper,
100% certified Hooper. And now he's showing it in the playoffs, which just, I think really solidifies him in the upper echelon of NBA guys. People always wait for, guys to perform in the playoffs. He's playing great, should win this playoff series. But yeah, it looks like OKC's on their way to a second round, which is great to see from a young team. Even a healthy, stop it. A healthy Pelicans team, a Zion, man, it could go 7. I'm sorry, a healthy Pelicans team.
I think with Zion there, they do provide more challenges in terms of rim pressure, but OKC can still outscore them pretty significantly, though.
Like I said, no, for sure. Like I said, Jalen Williams doing this
thing.
He
was so good, man.
Yeah, and when honestly, I think Lou Dort started the game off hard, too. When Lou Dort's hitting this shot, then they're tough. Like, really, that's a super real tough defense. Yeah, he's one of those guys that you let him shoot, it's going to break more often than not. But when he's hitting, man, it's a tough situation for them. What about the Dallas Mavericks here? They got a key win against the Clippers there.
Huge win.
Yeah, huge win against the Clippers. Kyrie Irving, key free throws. Luka hitting clutch bucket after clutch bucket. Kawhi Leonard looking a little shaky coming off an injury. What do you think about the Dallas Mavericks and Clippers situation?
So I think the Mavericks-Clippers series is probably the most intriguing series of the first round. People can act like they have the answers. I guarantee you do not. Because no one had the Clippers without Kawhi blowing the Mavs out by like 30-some points. And then in the second game, most people expected it to be like this huge, high-point shootout type of thing, and it wasn't that either. Instead, it was a very methodical defensive game, get it out the mud game first, and then down the stretch, you saw the Mavericks take over that game. Now they're going on the road where Kawhi had his one game back. Will he return to form or will he not? Right? Like there's so many questions with that, right? How productive is Gafford going to be in stopping the Clippers pick and roll? Is James Harden going to be consistent? Can he get back to what he was doing in game one where he was dominating that Mavericks defense? These questions go back and forth repeatedly. So seeing what's going to translate and what doesn't for both teams is very, very intriguing. This could easily go 7. And to me, this is really the definition of a pick'em series.
100%. This is, I think going to be the best series out of all the playoff teams here. Luka doing his thing. Kawhi, him getting better as the series goes on, I think will be interesting to see. Paul George, I think he could definitely step up here. Hasn't had kind of a coming out game. What we got? Who's that?
Steph Curry, clutch player of the year.
Steph Curry, clutch player of the year.
Let's get right, Chet.
Another award under his belt. Hey, look, I'm not mad that he won. He definitely had some of the numbers go his way. And Steph Curry. Wait, so all those narratives of Steph Curry, no game-winning shots down. What are you gonna say? What to say now? What's the playoff numbers looking like? What's the playoff clutch numbers looking like? Man,
good.
Yeah. Hey, shout out clutch player of the award for Curry though, man. Deserved. Not mad at him. Good job. I mean, how'd you feel about Naj Reid winning?
I like that. So I saw a lot of people getting mad, and it's crazy, right? Because I did my NBA picks. I had Naz Reid as my 6th man. I had Curry as my clutch. So far, I'm 2 for 2. But Naz Reid is a good basketball player, and seeing people act like it was a robbery that he won over Malik Monk doesn't make much sense to me. Malik Monk's been great, right? But down the stretch, Monk was hurt, so he missed the games. So automatically, that's one advantage that goes over to Naz Reid.
Yep.
B, when Cat went out, I remember what the narrative and the convo was. They said, damn, this team's been good all year long, but because Cat is gone, now the Wolves are going to fall to 5, 6, maybe playing range. And then Naz Reid started to drop 25, 30 points, and they were still a top 3 seed. So to me, Naz Reid deserved it. He was a great defender this season. And more importantly, what he did for their roster coming and checking into the game, he gave them so much flexibility and made them just a much better team. So to me, I had no issue with that happening. I think Naz Reid definitely deserved it. Also, this is not me shitting on Malik Monk. I think Malik Monk was definitely 6th man of the year caliber in his own right. But I just think the games played, the impact on both ends that Naz Reid gave to his team, and the reliability and consistency with games played and how he plays, I would have Naz Reid.
Yeah, I think the factor for that definitely was a little bit of, or I think a lot of it was that Malik Monk getting hurt, missing the end of the regular season, and then with Cat getting hurt, Naz Reid stepping up, balling out the way he did. It's just like, at the key moment, it seemed like Malik Monk got hurt, couldn't showcase his ability while Naz Reid was able to. So I definitely think that the last kind of 20 games of the season has a lot of impact on these awards and what happens in those last 20 games. Because people just seem to, remember those last 20 games versus the first 60 games. I think that's a natural human progression. So, not mad at either way. I think, either could have won it. So, again, with a lot of these awards, I'm not mad that Curry won him. Do I think SGA could have, should have won it? Absolutely. But there's definitely a case for Curry to win anyone. So good for those two, 100%. Definitely interesting to see. I do want to say that we mentioned we talked about earlier about the end of an era. Do we ever rank the top 10 players of the 2010s? We got some time here. So me and you, if we want to rank the 10 players of the 2010s decade.
2010.
So right off the bat, right? There's some guys that I think we'll for sure agree on. Okay, LeBron, right? LeBron, Curry, Durant, right? Those 3, I think for sure.
Bron, Curry, Durant.
And after that, Kawhi. I think Kawhi falls in that decade too.
I will go Kawhi Leonard too.
Yeah, Kawhi's there too. Russell Westbrook for that.
Russell Westbrook, James Harden.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. So that's 6. So I think there's 6 guys. Everyone would for sure have Chris Paul.
Chris Paul's in there. Chris Paul, yeah.
In there, right? So we got 7. And now the 8, 9, 10 spots. Remember the early 2010s too, right? We got to remember those guys too. Dwayne Wade.
I mean, would you put Damian Lillard here?
Oh, that's going.
Or would you go Kyrie?
Oh, I think Kyrie got to be in there. Kyrie got to be in there, right? Kyrie, because there's just so many playoff moments he had in Cleveland, too, right? So I think Kyrie. So that's 8 guys. If Kyrie for sure, We got Claire in the building saying Dwight Howard. Man, how many elite seasons did Dwight Howard have in the 2010s? So like Dwight Howard, Dwayne Wade.
2010s.
Yeah, Dwight Howard, Dwayne Wade are two guys who I think probably had strong first halves. I think Dwayne Wade, would you came in the top 10 of that decade? I want to see when that. Yeah, quickly Google. You're gonna try to Google their years and see. I'm like, yep, me too. I'm like, Dwayne Wade, I think, is an interesting one because the fall off did occur, but when did that real fall off didn't come until 2017-18? Yeah, but he had from 2010, 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think he had an 8-year stretch, Dwayne Wade, from 2010 to about 2017-18, where he averaged. Let's put these points here. He gave you 21, 5, and 5 essentially.
I think yes. Right? I think Wade could be on this list. Paul George.
Yeah, that's like a Paul George. Yeah, he's a guy. Yep, that might be the 10 right there. That might be the 10.
Oh shit! What about Giannis though?
See, now Giannis, that'll be an interesting one. So let me just go look at when Giannis really.
That'll be from like 2010 to 2020, right?
Yeah, 2010, 2020.
His peak was really near the 2020s, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I want to look. So let's see, Giannis drafted in 2013-14, rookie year, 6.8 nothing. Second year, 12.7 a game, not really that. Third year, 60.9, still coming. So he didn't really become great. He averaged 22, 5, and 8 in 2016-17, which is good, but wasn't the MVP, wasn't dominant. It's only the next year, 2017-18, 27 a game. 10, where he really became a superstar.
Instead of Giannis, what about Anthony Davis?
Yes, Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis was a dog in New Orleans, man.
Anthony Davis. Wait, so would you do Anthony Davis over Paul George?
Yes. Yeah. And like, I know Paul George has some crazy moments in overall Indiana, but the shit that prime Anthony Davis was doing on bad rosters was great. Also, it rounds out in 2020, and they won the title there too. So that aids his case.
Yep.
He really dominated his whole decade. I think that's a fair name to put there.
No, you're right. Yeah, I'm taking Anthony. You know what? Looking at some of these numbers right now, what they did, Anthony Davis. I definitely put over Paul George.
I know a lot of people aren't going to put this player on here, but I think someone that should also be in the running based on what he contributed to the dynasty and how dominant of a player he was in his own right. I think Draymond. I mean, prime Draymond with his defense. 2016 Draymond with the shooting, what he was doing in the playoffs, what he did in that game 7, of course. Like, he was really a very, very impactful player. Also, like, the way that he pushed the way that he went like the whole small ball route and how he really diversified it. Like, he was undersized guarding easily 1 through 5, right? Like, that type of impact to me, a lot of players didn't really have.
100%. I agree. I think Klay Thompson too has to get a bit of an honorable mention there, right? Again, part of a dynasty, a key piece.
Yeah.
Was giving him buckets. Definitely interesting. A name that I was kind of shocked to see, in some list that I just Googled here. Tim Duncan is 10 and a couple.
He had some Duncans here too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, obviously his elite years were 2000, but Tim Duncan at I guess, but he won a championship, two or one this championship that decade.
I think it was 2
or 1. Yeah, quickly check. It might just be 1. So if you won 2 or 1, plus he had a couple, the final strips, a couple great regular seasons, definitely there. Blake Griffin, that's a shout out we got to give to, right? Kind of a player.
Blake Griffin was nice. Yeah,
Blake Griffin was nice. Got to show him love there. I guess Dirk, obviously his prime was in 2000, but probably had the most impressive ring, maybe. A lot of people would say in that time span. Dirk Nowitzki did his thing there. Just going through some of these names. But Anthony, Dwight Howard does. Jimmy Butler, that's a guy, Jimmy, who I think slow start to his career though. Definitely a bit of a slow start to his career. Took him a while to become that superstar.
He became nice on the Bulls though.
Yeah. Hey, Chad, we're just giving some honorable mentions right now, man. You got to show some love to some guys that, Kevin Love. Like, people forget Kevin Love, Minnesota.
I talking about Minnesota Kevin Love?
Yeah, I was like Kevin.
He was nice. He was nice for sure.
Yeah, he was putting up some like crazy 26, 15 type of numbers. Like, Kevin Love was doing some crazy. He was drafted. Oh wait, 09. Wait, hold up. Kevin Love Man, if you look at some of the Minnesota, like I said, 26-13, 20-15,
Yeah.
26-12. I mean, absolutely absurd what he did during his Minnesota years. Some people say empty stats, but I don't care. 26-13. You could say it's on a losing team for sure, but that's hard to do. I don't care if you're on a losing team, if you're on the Detroit Pistons winning 10 games, or if you're on a 60-win team. 26-13 in 2012, 13. That time period is impressive regardless. Shout
Hey,
out,
that sounds
shout out,
good.
shout out Kevin Love. What about playoff performers? Would there be a difference in that decade if we really
I
looked at
think
it?
it's the same. I think you still have to point to LeBron, Steph, KD. I mean, listen, man. Kawhi's hard to do because of durability,
Yeah.
but he was still very good when he was in the postseason. He was a very good overall performer for the most part. Draymond was great in the playoffs year after year after year, raising what he did defensively.
Mhm.
How good was Wade to you in the playoffs?
So Wade's best playoffs was definitely the first year in Miami that
100%.
LeBron got there, right? Yeah, he was hooping. He would have won Finals MVP if they could have won that. If they could have beat Dallas in the finals. If LeBron showed up, they definitely would have won there. So he would have won Finals MVP. And even that second year, even though he took a step back, he was still good. And he had some big games against like the Pacers. I think they played Boston 92. He had some huge games where he gave him 25, 30 plus whatever. The
Yeah.
playmaking there, the defense. It's just after that is when his knees got bad and he had to be a little more selective, where he was a little more up and down. In terms of the playoffs. So I mean, he had, I would say, a couple elite ones, a couple good ones, which is still more than a lot of players. Like having 4 or 5 good postseason runs in a decade is a good amount, right? Like people don't realize you don't just make the playoffs every
No,
year in a decade and dominate,
it's
right?
not easy to make the playoffs.
It's not, especially deep runs. I know sometimes we even take it for granted, especially with the LeBron, duty out there, but it's not easy 100%. And then Curry and them boys, definitely not easy. Rajon Rondo, I think, is a guy playoff wise, playoff riser,
He was
playoff
pretty good in the playoffs for
riser.
the most
Yeah,
part.
bro,
Yeah.
playoff riser. He was the real deal. There's a couple situations where he could have beat some great teams, but he did get hurt a little bit, so that kind of held him back. I want to say another guy, a great playoff guy from the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of that. It was obviously you can name the Warriors guy. Shout out Sean Livingston. You know about Sean Livingston in the
Bro,
playoffs.
that was an automatic bucket,
Um,
man.
that's a guy. Do you think he's a bit of a what if? He got that leg injury. Like
Oh
he's
yeah,
still
the injuries
so
and
good.
whatnot.
Yeah, because
That
he
might
could
be
have really.
that might be fair to say. You know what?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean
like
Sean Livingston, man, what he
his
was doing
IQ was crazy too.
crazy. I swear he had the most consistent mid-range jump shot or whatever it was that he did. Maybe it was a little closer than the mid-range, but he had that shot where he would just. Was that mid-range or was it like a floater? One of those. It was like an in-between. One of those where
In
every
between
time,
shot was money, man.
yeah, every single time
Money.
it would just go in. So shout out Sean Livingston in terms of a what if guy, a guy who still did good, played into his role after the knee injury, but I do think it's a what if.
I mean, would you put Carmelo
As a playoff
here?
performer?
Well, not playoffs. I'm just saying overall for like from 2010 to basically 2020.
Man, that's tough. I got over the guys we said. I don't know if I put Carmelo out of any of the guys that we said, in the top 10.
That's a little tough.
Yeah, because we had like basically Anthony Davis as a 10th guy, or Kyrie. You could put, or Lillard. Probably one of those would be a 10th guy, right? Anthony Davis, Kyrie, or Lillard. Carmelo Anthony for that decade. Am I putting over Anthony Davis, Kyrie, or Lillard that decade? Let me see that decade. 2010-11 started off. Gave you 25 a night with the Knicks. Oh, that was the first year with the Knicks. 2010-11. Basically, from his Knicks tenure and on. Damn, he was with the Knicks a long time. Then went to OKC. Then became a role player. He might be like 11th, 12th. He might be the guy that just misses.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just one of those things. Shout out Carmelo Anthony, though. Great player for that decade. Earlier before that. I mean, hold on. If Carmelo Anthony is not a top 10 player in the 2010s, he's not a top 10 player in the 2000s either. That's kind of interesting.
That feels wrong,
right?
But I can understand the logic though. I feel like
he seems like he should be in a player of a decade conversation for sure. He's definitely a player of his generation.
Yeah,
that would be interesting too. Because if you do 2000s player of the decade, because why not? We talked about playoffs. We got some time, chat. 2000s players of the decade, right? So we'll start with Kobe, Duncan, Shaq, KG, Dirk. Right, we got those 5 for sure. I think everyone will probably agree on. After that, you go Jason Kidd, Nash. Is Allen Iverson in that 10?
AI over who?
I mean, just that player of the like 2000s players of that decade. Would Allen Iverson be in the top 10 players of the decade?
Probably not.
Right, I got you. Strong first tab, you could say, maybe tailed off a little bit in a second. Tracy?
Oh, T-Mac is weird. I didn't grow up watching T-Mac like that, so I don't have much to say about him as a player. It's just hard because he had good regular seasons, but in terms of like postseason translations, he was injured for a lot of years, and then even when he wasn't, he just wasn't really good in the postseason either. So
yeah, he definitely had.
I don't know.
Definitely has drawbacks, but had his pros too. After that, it just become Paul Pierce in that conversation, Ray Allen, those guys, Vince Carter, and then you have the Dwight Howards, LeBrons, Dwayne, like the LeBron, D Wade, Melo, or any of them guys sneak in the back end that 8, 9, 10 of that
8, 9, 10. Yep.
Right. Yeah, they might sneak in there because they did kind of. I mean, for the most part, they came in right away and dominated. Right, they came in right in and dominated for sure. Did their thing. Shout out to them. Shoot, we still got a little bit of time. Anything else you want to talk about, Gifted?
For me, I just can't wait for the second round, man. We got some big games. Some of these games might decide the series tonight, Jalen. Like it's like teams might go up 3-0 tonight, and if that happens, I mean, we're seeing the next round get really accelerated if that pops off the way we think. So I can't wait for that personally, man. This Knicks game that is literally about to come on at 7:30. Go tap in, y'all. That's gonna be very, very fun. Very
tap
fun.
in 100%. We got the Laker game tonight. Ox is gonna be there. Probably join Ox on playback. Should be a good one. Make sure to tap into these playback games. Always a good time. Definitely always a good time. All these playoffs. I mean, we talked about a lot of people saying the NBA don't have defense. A lot of defense being played these playoffs.
A lot of defense has been
100%
for sure.
A lot of defense being played. Chat. Put some respect on these guys playing defense. And I've actually really liked the referee whistles. I know some players have been complaining. LeBron, Joel Embiid, but I think they just letting the guys play. And I think with referees,
love that too.
Yeah, I love that too. But even with the referees, to me, it's whether you want a tight whistle or an open whistle, whatever it is, be consistent. And I think they've been pretty consistent. Like I haven't seen any huge. There's been a couple, you could say, couple mistakes here and there, but again, that just tends to be the nature of the game. Referees are human; they're going to make mistakes for the most part. And I think throughout, it's been a solid referee thing. And I think that's something. Sometimes referees don't get credit for that. It's always slander, never credit. You know what I mean?
Always. But that's why through like our show, we're able to give these players a bit more credit than they normally get. But watching the game is of utmost importance, y'all. Again, from round to round to round, we get to see these players stamp their legacies and things get more intense. But watching the game and having an appreciation for it is honestly where I'm at. So I can't wait personally. I'm excited.
Second round should be great. A lot of legacies on the line. Denver wins back to back.
That's big for Nikola Jokic, man.
I was gonna say, where are you putting Jokic all time?
So like, I don't have the all time place where I put him. What I would say though is that would be a 4 to 5 year span of Jokic playing at an MVP level, and arguably he should have 4 MVPs. He's gonna probably win this year. Last year, a lot of people said that he couldn't win three in a row because Embiid had never won one. But realistically, this is a guy that could have been a 4-time MVP. That type of run barely happens in basketball. So if you stamp that with a back-to-back championship, that does wonders for his legacy. Not to mention, he doesn't get hurt. He's very durable. So his dominance can really sustain itself over these next 4 to 5 years. No, this could be like a generational run for Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, you mentioned that run. You mentioned, if he wins this year, he'll have 3. Should probably have 4. So even in a 4-year stretch, having 3 MVPs, 2 champions,
wild, Jalen,
and just great playoff performance. Forget even the championship. Like if he just has great great playoff performance. He doesn't have like bad games. Like Jokic doesn't have his bad games are still like good games too. He doesn't really have like bad games. They've all been really great to phenomenal and some good games. We're talking LeBron, Jordan, Larry, Magic, those type of runs, right? Shaq. I mean, Shaq didn't even get the regular MVP team that should have. So, Shaq, Kobe, like he's an all-time. He's in that top 10 player comparison. Like everybody who's got a run like that is in essentially the top 10 all time of most people's lists, right? The one thing with Jokic that, having conversations with a lot of other people is that his defense will always kind of keep him back from like trying to solidify top 5. Because again, if we're comparing him to a LeBron, Jordan, Duncan, Kobe, Kareem, it's just like all those guys played offense and defense. You know what I mean? And even if you can say Jokic played better offense than some, if not all, a lot of people might make the case he's the greatest offensive player ever in terms of the advantage he creates. The defense thing might hold him back, but look, the run he's on, incredible. Jamal Murray,
wild run.
Jamal Murray, if he keeps stepping up like this, guy,
Hooper.
Another weird one too, in the sense it wouldn't be Kawhi because he's hurt, but in the regular season he's just not this, right? So it's like, how do we judge a good regular season player, not bad by any means, but a good guy, borderline all-star, probably will sneak onto a couple teams I think should. But when it comes to the playoffs, big time, big shot maker. Shout out Jamal Murray. It'll be hey, we'll see tonight if they
Hooper.
Fun.
We gonna see tonight, man. I seriously cannot wait. Our next episode, we should be recapping a lot of things. So I'm super duper excited, man, for real.
That we should. And that's the end of the show today, chat. Solid hour and a half with y'all. Just a little a lot of hoop talk today. Two people, a lot of information gets put out here. A lot of information to digest.
We did that.
100%. We did that. Real hoop, intellectual, intelligent basketball conversations. We really do that. And you want to say to the people, Gifted?
Yeah. Make sure to tap into for the logo. We'll be back for our next one on playback this upcoming Sunday. So tap in there. Also, if you want to rock with me on some basketball stuff, I got some more videos and breakdowns for these teams coming up on my channels. Again, Gifted Hoops on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, playback, all that stuff. We doing a lot of basketball breakdowns as we progress from round and round and round. So go tap in there.
100%. It's a Thursday, y'all. Weekend is coming up. It's summertime is here. Be outside. Summertime is here, y'all. Be outside. Go hang out with your friends. Go ask that girl out. Whatever you want to do. Hey, go take her to a playoff game. Take your significant other to a playoff game. You have a good time. She'll have a good time. Man, it'll be it's a win-win, right? It's a win-win situation. Do that. Just be outside, man. The sun's out. Sun's out. Go outside. Live your life. And until the next episode, we are from the logo. Tune back in Sunday. We'll be out there recapping all these games and more. Take it easy, chat.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all Sunday, chat. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.